Hello guys, welcome to this video tutorial. This is part 2 from our automation testing best practices webinar. This is Bakshu from MeritPros. In this video, we are going to cover 3 key phases of automation testing. They are developing the automation, executing the automation, and reporting the automation. Let's go forward. Please join our YouTube family. Click the subscribe button to watch all our videos first. Also, like the video and comment on the video. This is really going to inspire me. Your appreciation is really important for me. Then coming to our third stage, developing the automation. So now we know what to automate. We have a specific plan. Then we have like different areas properly planned, like automation tool, then hybrid automation framework, our CI/CD, continuous integration setup. So it's like all the major components of automation are properly planned, are properly analyzed. We have like those ready. Then it is time for development. So there are different best practices, different guidelines we need to follow. Let's go through them one by one. So the first one is implement software development best practices and design patterns as required. So when you talk about automation, programming or development is very essential. You cannot escape that. If you really want to master automation, if you want to become automation expert, then definitely you need to master programming. It's not like you have to become robotic scientist or like advanced developer. We need a very essential skills like core language skills and main debugging skills and best practices. With that, you can become very good automation tester. So research in the market, see what are the best software development practices or best design patterns, and then implement them. Like, this is my automation tool, this is my hybrid automation framework, and this is my continuous integration requirement. Considering all this, these software development best practices are well for me, these design patterns are well for me, and you can start with them. For example, when you consider Selenium and web automation, go with page object pattern, that is really good. And then we can use Jenkins for continuous integration. Then we have like Maven for project management and build process. So there are already established practices and design patterns. Use them. We can use a TestNG for test case management. So use those best design patterns and best frameworks. Then one more thing is we need to separate framework code, test scripts, test configuration, and test data. Each thing need to be separated so that if there is any issue, we can go to that separate area and we can identify and fix. So separate framework code, that is your automation code, then separate test scripts, then test configuration and test data. So have everything separated. Going further, we need to use incremental model for the framework. As I said, you cannot just automate overnight or in 1 hour. We need to go step by step. Let's say you have like 5 features or 100 test cases, then start with a set, like start with a single feature or start with 20 test cases. We need to go in incremental model. Start with few test cases or with a test feature, then write the code, then write the required framework code, test scripts, whatever required, set up everything, then look for the patterns. So this is how my framework is evolving. Let it evolve based on your requirements, based on your AUT. Let it evolve. Then look for the patterns, like, okay, so here this is the pattern. So it is best to use Excel based data driven framework, or it is best to use SQL database for data driven framework. Then repeat the above steps. So you need to use incremental model. Then step by step you need to enhance as well. So based on how the work is going on, based on current automation state, like based on current hybrid framework state or current practices you are following, step by step you need to enhance as well. So go with the incremental model. Then coming to the next topic, reuse resources, libraries, utilities as much as possible. So whatever libraries you are writing, let's say there is some Excel based library or database library, you have written your custom libraries. Don't repeat that, reuse them as much as possible. Even you can share that with other teams as well. Let's say you have like 5 testing teams, so you can all come up with something reusable like database library or Excel library. All teams can reuse. Don't have like separate library for each team. So whatever basic reusable resources, libraries, utilities, reuse across the company, even across the teams. Then apply recommended solid principles. So for object oriented programming, we have these 5 solid principles. Those are really like fundamental building blocks of object oriented programming. Use these solid principles. They're going to make you really very better automation tester. So we have 5 principles. S stands for single responsibility principle, O stands for open close principle, L stands for Liskov substitution principle, I stands for interface segregation principle, then D stands for dependency inversion principle. I have written a blog post for that. That is the link. So you can go to that blog post and you can see those principles in detail. Then readable code. So when you write the code, it is not just for you. Even other people are going to use that code. Even when you leave the company, new one need to start with that. So whenever you write the code, write proper readable code. You need to give proper names. You need to write logic in a proper readable way. Write less comments because you want your code to speak. It is not a good practice like write comment for each line. With proper meaningful names, with proper braces and proper layout and alignment, and then writing the code in a proper way, you can avoid the comments and you can let your code speak. Like just by reading the code, you can able to understand the functionality. So write in that way. Going further, we need to have proper expected result for each test case, and then we need to get proper accurate actual result from AUT during the test execution, because the main essential thing of automation is running the test cases, then finding the bugs. So to run a test case, we are going to follow the test steps like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Run those test steps. Then we need to have like assertion, proper pass or fail criteria. For that assertion, we need to have expected result and actual result. We are going to have predefined expected result, so make sure that is accurate and proper. Then while executing the test automation, we are going to get the accurate actual result from the automations, and then we need to compare them. If you can't get these properly, let's say you have defined expected data incorrectly, or while getting the actual result you are making the mistakes, then definitely the tests are going to fail. You're going to get lot of noise, lot of test failures, and that's going to cause a lot of debugging work. So make sure that you have proper expected result and you are getting a proper actual result from AUT during test execution. Then write proper assertions. Even during the comparison, make sure that you are comparing properly. Then one more thing, with all this, let's say you have a proper test case automated. Even though you need to do a few things before adding that to your test suite, before making a commit and adding that to your master branch. So once you have a test script ready, before committing that to your automation code, execute for a pass scenarios. Let it run, then make sure that it is going to pass. Then make sure that in a pass scenario, everything is properly generated. Any logs are in reporting, any screenshots, everything is coming up properly. Then you need to test for a fail scenario as well. If a test case is not failing, then it is not really worth. It should fail sometime so that we can get a defect or it is giving us something back. So even test for a fail scenario as well. Like you can change some AUT state or you can change some text and try for fail scenario. So execute for a fail scenario and see everything is coming up properly. Like in reporting, we are getting proper screenshots, proper exceptions and proper logs, everything. So execute for a pass scenario, okay, it is good. Execute for a fail scenario, okay, it is good. Then when you are happy, then make a commit and add that to your automation suite. Then we are in a stage executing the automation. So we are done with starting with the automation, whatever our requirements, then we are done with planning and then developing. Then it is the time to execute the automation. How are we going to execute the automation? We have already defined our CI setup. Let me go back. So this is our CI setup. So it's like every night at 11 p.m. we are going to run our automated tests. We are using a CI tool like Jenkins or whatever framework. Using that, we have implemented all this, and we are going to get latest dev build by 10 p.m. Then we are giving some time. Then by 11 p.m. we are kicking off our automation. We are running all our test suites or automated test cases. So once we have this in place, then this is like already automated. We don't need to worry about that. This is already in place. This is going to happen every night. When we come in the morning, next day you are in office in the morning, you are going to go through the results, and then you need to do certain steps. So let's say like 300 test cases were executed. So in the night, as part of CI setup, 300 test cases were executed. Then 80% passed and 20% failed. 20% failed means 60 test cases failed. So out of 300, 60 test cases are failed. Then what to do next? So go through all 60 failed test cases. You can quickly go through them. Rerun them 1 or 2 times. If this is already part of your CI setup, then that's fine. If that is not part of your CI setup, you can manually like rerun them, maybe on a separate machine, let them run. Meanwhile, you can continue with your other work. So first thing is you need to go through the failed test cases, then find out why they are failing. If there is something very basic thing like some application setting is not set up properly, or application is not opening properly, or specific feature is not there at all, those simple things you can easily find out just by going through those failed test cases and going through reports. Whatever simple findings you can easily find out. If that is not the case, then rerun those test cases 1 or 2 times, because sometimes it might be because time delay issues or network latency, or sometimes mistakes happen. So it might be because of like time delays or network latency, you are getting failures. So if you rerun 1 or 2 times, then you may get better results. This happened to me lot of times. After rerunning, I will get like around 60 to 70 failed test cases passed. So you can implement this as part of your CI setup. If I go back, you can see here I have the second step, rerun failed test cases 1 or 2 times. So you can make this a part of your CI setup. That is a good practice. So after rerunning the test cases, we will be further down to only few failed test cases. So then let's say we are down to 20 failed test cases. So at the end, after executing our whole automation suites, we have 20 failed test cases. Then we need to go through them and we need to find out why they are failing. Now we need proper debugging skills. This is really important now, because we need to find out the reasons. We need to debug, we need to research, we need to analyze, and we need to find out the reasons. So you need proper debugging skills. This is also very essential. You need proper developing skills to write the automation scripts, to implement best practices, design patterns, then to analyze the test results, to see why a test case is failing, to analyze the failures. You need a proper debugging skills. This is also really very important. Make sure that you have proper debugging skills. So you can search in the Google, or you can take a training, or maybe in YouTube, but enhance your debugging skills. So the next thing is you need to group the failed test cases. So group by feature, or group by a failure type or exception, or by platform or environment or other areas. Let's say like your test cases are failing in Solaris platform. All the test cases failed in Solaris platform. Then you know the simple cause, like there is something with the Solaris platform and your application compatibility issue. then mostly there is no need to go through all the 20 failed test cases. You can just go with one or two and you can find the reason. So group your failed test cases so that it is easy to debug and find the reasons. So group by feature, or group by failure type or exception, or group by platform or other areas based on your requirements. Then rerun those failed test cases one after one by each group, by group wise, rerun them, then start debugging. Then let's say you are rerunning those failed test cases, then you are finding the reasons, then debug and find out why they are failing. Then fail due to issues in the automation code. So let's say there is something in your automation code, like you wrote something bad, or expected data you provided that wrongly. So if that is coming from the automation code, fix it, because there is nothing wrong in AUT application or product or the actual dev code. That is good. There is issue in your automation code, like you are providing wrong locator or you are providing wrong expected data. So the test cases are failing due to issues in the automation code, fix it. That is your responsibility. Or the test cases are failing due to issues in the AUT coming from the actual dev code, application or production code. Then proceed to report a new bug by following your internal process, like whatever internal process set. Based on that, proceed to report a new bug. You need to follow a process, like you are going to go to defect tracking tool, then you are going to search for this bug, make sure there are no existing bugs, then you need to reproduce it, then you need to write proper steps. So whatever internal process set, follow that. Going further, now the next step is reporting. Make sure that this is also part of your CI setup, like once the execution is done, it is hosted somewhere in a server, like in a cloud or in a server, so that everyone can access, and you are sending the email. Let's say the execution is done, let's say it will take like 5 hours. So 11 p.m. your automation is started, then 5 hours, so by 4 a.m. the execution is done. Then the reports are hosted in a server, then you are emailing to interested people, like to your manager or to dev. You are emailing to the interested people with the details and with the link for detailed reporting. So make sure that this is part of your CI setup. So let's talk about reporting stage, what all we need to do in reporting and the best practices. If you are not reporting properly, then it will be hard to analyze the automation execution results and finding bugs or issues through test execution. So the main thing is visibility. After execution, you need to get proper reports, you need to get proper visibility to find out what are the exceptions, or what are the screenshots or application state. So you need proper reporting to analyze your test automation execution and then to find the bugs or issues. Because if you are just executing, you are not getting any logs, or you are not getting any screenshots, or you are not getting any exceptions, you are not reporting them, then it is hard to debug, it is hard to go and find the issues. So make sure that you are reporting all the required details properly, you have proper reporting framework, because proper reports allows us to make decisions and strategies based on automation. With proper reporting, we can make our decisions, like whether we need extensive testing in an area, or whether we need to like have meetings with dev team regarding a feature, or take release a specific decisions, or take required strategies. Proper reports are important so that we can make required decisions and strategies. Then go with the industry standard reporting framework. There are so many frameworks available. So one good reporting framework is Maven Surefire Reports. We can use that. So this is for Java tool stack. So we can use Maven Surefire Reports, or we have like Extend Reports as well. This is really very good. If you want to impress the clients, or if you want to impress your top management, UI based very user friendly reports can be generated using Extend Reports. I will go with Extend Reports. You don't want to manually generate reports for automation test execution. If you want to manually generate report, that will take a lot of time. Even that is not recommended as well, because you have to do reporting for every test execution. Even that is manual work, you want to avoid that. So definitely reporting should be automated. So use a industry standard reporting framework like extend reports and make it as part of your CI setup. You need to report properly for each test case. These areas, like whatever mentioned here, you need to report them properly. So it depends on you at what level you want to go, like the depth. It depends on you based on your company requirements. If you are testing for a client, then reporting is really important. Let's say like there is a client and the whole automation testing is outsourced to you, then reporting is really important. You have to go in a very depth. You need to report at each test step level as well. So all these areas are really important. You need to report at test step level. What is the status, pass or fail or any exceptions? So reporting at test step level. Then the duration, like 2 minutes or 30 seconds, what is the duration, pass or fail info. Then any exception details on failures. If it is failing, then what is the exception, like element are not present or waiting issues, or what is the exception. Then any logs, the execution logs. Then any screenshots you can take on failure or you can take on every test step. Then AUT, a state, like what is the state, like any configuration you want to take, like environment, AUT settings, whatever you want to take. So you need to report all these for each test case. Test step level reporting, then the execution duration, then pass or fail info, then any exception details on failure, then whatever logs. Then you want to take screenshots as well, that is really important. Then application configuration or state details. All these are really important when you are testing for a client. You need to go in-depth reporting for external clients. Thank you for watching this video, team. Hope the covered topics will help you. Also subscribe to our channel, like and comment on the video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.